Perfect. All right. Well, thank you everyone for signing up and coming in. My name is Amy Toner. I'm the executive director of the NATSO Foundation. You guys are in for a treat. I had Jessica on the podcast and it was so good. So I can't wait to hear more about it today. Everyone's lines are muted. We're going to record the presentation. We're going to take questions at breaks throughout the presentation. We will share the PowerPoint and we should get started because we have so much good stuff in here. So I will turn it over to you, Jessica.
All right. Thanks, Amy. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for inviting me onto this. I really do hope that I can contribute to growing wallet share for at least a few members. That's obviously the goal, is to grow wallet share. I would love to talk to you more about food service. I'll share everything that I know. And I really have three main points to cover. And as Amy said, we'll take questions in between. So I will get started with first up is who am I? So I want to talk to you about the right food offerings, but let me just give you a little bit of background. My name is Jessica Williams. I have a food science degree from the University of Kentucky, and I worked for 10 years for Yum Restaurants International and the US team. I did product development for KFC. So to get into the convenience world, I started working with Thornton's. So applying food service from restaurants over into convenience, I found there's a lot of overlap. And then with convenience overlapping into truck stops, there's definitely lots of overlap there too. I work with brands that you know and that you may be a part of. I've tried to highlight a few that are NATSO members, but I work with brands on menu development, on nutrition facts, which can be really boring but needed in a lot of cases, and it's not boring to me. Operational consistency, and then just generally new ideas, injecting innovation and excitement into platforms that you may already have, or something new altogether. So these are the areas that I cover as a consultant. About 6 or 7 years ago, I moved to my hometown in Kentucky. I'm in central Kentucky. I live on a farm, and I have access still to all the convenience world and all the food development vendors and partners I've had in the past. But I do work remotely now, so that I can be close to family and still get to travel and things like that. But this is the type of work that I do. So that's why I would love to share with you what I know about offering the right products in your travel center to grow your wallet share. So 3 categories that I think may cover a lot of ground. And I will stop in between each one and answer any questions, hear any good best practices that you might want to share, and kind of make it more conversational. I don't want it to just be me talking for an hour. It's not going to be that. So first, we'll talk about strengthening category management. Second, we'll talk about menu innovation and having a calendar. And then third, just more about how to tell your story, some things to think on. So getting started first. Okay, I'm going to start with the blocking and tackling. That's why I have the X's and O's, thinking about how do we beat year ago. So in the travel center world, I know you have a lot to think about when you're running acres of an operation. So you literally have a lot of miles to walk in a day, and you have a lot of categories to cover, thousands of people coming through your lot and into your store every day. You may have one, or you might have multiple travel centers that you're working on. Taking all that into account, when I think about food service and I see some best practices, some of the best operators out there doing a great job with food, here's how they think. So what I'm trying to do is kind of open the playbook to you to see your convenience competitors and your restaurant competitors are thinking like this. So whether it's really sophisticated and there are teams of people dedicated to analyzing data, or it may just be you or just one other person, just a couple of people, you should be able to get to answers to create a report that looks something like this, where you can capture by store, or if you have multiple stores, by region, day part and hour. I've found are harder to get to, but if you can find data that is collected by hour against every product in your store, and then looking specifically into the food service section. The category might be not just food service, but it might be made to order food that's different from grab and go. Might be hot grab and go and cold grab and go. Might be sandwiches for AM, sandwiches for PM. Get as granular into naming your categories as possible is a great best practice. That helps you really see what products are going out the door and when, where you might have an opportunity to reduce waste, or really just, really category manage each category very specifically. Another best practice is to look at getting down to gross profit per item. So I didn't bring out a spreadsheet to show you, but I could help you build one if you're interested. But really getting down to how many of product are you selling? What is the gross profit on it? It may be that you have a very high volume item, but a really small profit margin. And maybe that's okay with you. Or maybe you have a low mover with a very high margin. You don't understand what's not moving. Maybe you can adjust your price point. So do you really know how much you're making off of every single product in the food category? So that's a big question. Started with a big Excel sheet, imagining that to start with, but I want to get more specific here too. So one way to think about strengthening category management is to beat year ago. But then I'll move over to collecting money everywhere. And I really had this vision of you can scrounge up. Here are a few ways that you might want to do that. Convenience stores are working with vendors on rebate programs. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you should definitely ask your food distributor for more information on rebate programs. Big suppliers like, say, Tyson, they'll group together amounts of multiple products under multiple umbrellas, brand umbrellas together, and give you back marketing dollars or money off cases for certain amounts of products. So if you aren't leveraging a rebate program today, inquire to your food distributor about that. Another thing you might look at is buying groups. If you can join other single or independent operators or small groups in your region for things that you both buy, that's not even competitive, but paper towels, cleaning supplies, napkins, paper bags, things like that are not branded. That'd be another way to save some money and to get the most out of your food program. Another is just to simply request marketing dollars. So I have a picture here from a group that I work with. They are a C-store chain, not a truck stop, but they're a C-store chain that works, that has 21 stores in the New York, Utica, Syracuse area. They partnered up with a beer brand called Utica Club, and they made their own beer cheese. And Utica Club was happy to sell lots more beer in their area and help, fund some of their advertising and some of the marketing materials. So just asking, would you like to partner on this with either local brands or national brands? You never know until you ask. Okay, another would be create a sampling program. So if you aren't currently sampling food or beverages in your store, one way to grow your food program is to sample. But do you have to be out the cost of each one of those products in sample cases? Maybe not. As a menu developer, as a product developer, I've had a 100% success rate as asking suppliers for cases of samples for the purpose of sampling. And that can be in-store sampling to your team if you wanted to get them excited about some new product, or if you wanted to sell, obviously sample it to your customers. That's a different reason for having a sample case shipped to you free of charge, take it right off the bill from the store. So that's, again, you don't know until you ask, but I've never, ever been turned down for a sample. And then just strengthening supplier relationships, just inviting your key suppliers, your key vendors to come and take a look at your store, to ask what you could do better. Literally to just walk stores with you. And they're usually happy to take you out to dinner, to invite you to a conference, to help you get connected and learn more information. The more friendly and strong you can be in building your relationships with them, the better. Okay, and then finally, just knowing your numbers. So another key thing to know about category management that are best practices out there for really making the most out of every product and getting every last penny that you can would be something simple like this: to know your sales by hour, your waste by that hour, and having a build to for the hour. So I have an example of a product here, a bacon, egg, and cheese croissant from a company, Thornton's, that I used to work for. This is not their number. This is just something that I've made up. But say in the morning, between 5 and 7 in the morning, does your store team know how many they're expected to have out at 5 in the morning or at 6 in the morning? Is it different at 9 in the morning? Probably. So how many at each hour should be out on display? How many, if you don't have 8 and the 8's the number and you find that you have only 2 out, how many should you be cooking? So something really simple like that, as far as training your team, could really go a long way in helping the team understand exactly what it is that you want them to do. Okay, and then finally, taking into account the product cost by SKU, by number. So this is, again, completely invented, made up, but if you're able to find out that your croissant costs 50 cents, that your bacon slices, per slice is this cost, then you add a cheese and you add an egg. You have to also account for packaging. That's something that every time one goes out the door, it's a cost to you. So I always count the cost of the packaging too. And say it costs $1.66. If you wanted to make a 60% margin, then what should you price it at? $4.14. So you're hitting your target margin. If you were selling it for $4.29, then, and that's your target, then you're right on track. If you wanted to make a 70% margin, then we'd need to adjust the cost a little bit higher. But rarely do I work with a group that has every number dialed into ingredient cost. But I'm telling you that your competitors do have that. They might have a whole team of people, but we can't use that as an excuse. I want you to know how to do it. I can supply you with a tool, a free tool, just really an Excel sheet, but to help you get to that point. So I think it makes sense to just stop here and see what questions I can answer. Does anybody have a question today?
I don't see any questions just yet.
Okay. Well, I'll keep going and do this again. So we can always go back, or we can keep going forward and have questions at the very end. That's fine too.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on then, the next section, a lot of people ask me about innovation. It's one of the most overused words, probably, innovation. But really what I think of when I think about innovation is just how to plan ahead. How do you get ahead of the game? Something as simple as a calendar. Again, this is a made up example, but are you thinking about the year in sections? Maybe it's quarters or seasons or windows of some kind, that you are changing up your marketing messaging. You're changing up your shelf tags or your window signs or what you're sending out on your loyalty app or pump toppers, in whatever frequency, or changing those. Just starting very simple with, what's the next window that I might be able to impact? How far ahead do you need to be today to make an impact in the future? So it's December. It's probably too late to put a holiday promotion together for right now. it may even be too late for you to get signs and materials ready for spring and Easter, but I bet you can hit this summer, so what did you just come through this summer that are learnings and best practices and great products that you expect next year to also be really interesting for your customers? How can you get even better? Last summer, this past fall, just now, what are you selling lots of, and what could you do even better based on your current sales? So just planning ahead. I've got a few examples here to share with you. So I talked to a colleague that I have at Quick Check. They had just introduced this official sub of the New York Giants. It's not a different product, and I know they're a huge company, and I know that they have leverage to partner with something like that. But how long ahead of time did they have to have food photography? Did they have to have a plan in place to be able to promote these subs and subs that they already have? When it comes to launching a new product, there's training involved with that, of course, but it's even if it's not a new product and it's something old, if you are marketing it and talking about it to the public, it's a great opportunity to go back and train your team one more time and kind of re-hit that whole platform. This is how we do subs now. Here's a new job aid, for example, that we've put together because things have changed a little bit, and maybe we have a new bread or a different cheese, or we've added a sauce here and there. Similarly, thinking about how long ago do you think Starbucks knew they were going to do the current winter beverages? They didn't know it last month. They knew it probably at least 12 months ago, maybe 18 months ago, maybe more. They've put contracts into place with whoever they get their syrups from and whoever they get their whipped cream from. So they're planning ahead. And I'm mentioning that again because they're your competitive set. And the good news is whatever Starbucks and Dunkin' and others are putting out there to make beverages sound delicious, it can only honestly go to help you. If you have something in place that's similar, or something that feels that need for a caramel frappe or whatever it might be, that's a great opportunity for you to talk about yours. I see a question that has popped up, and I'll come back to that in just a second. So to keep going about menu innovation, so partnering with local brands too. So maybe you're not Quick Check, maybe you aren't able to partner with a big national brand, but there's a group called Twice Daily, and they're based in Tennessee. They have actually purchased a company called White Bison Coffee. It's a local coffee chain in the area, and they have now started placing them in their stores. So they've taken the leap to partner in a big way with White Bison. But maybe there's a different partnership that you could have with especially a local brand that's really all about direct store delivery. Maybe they are trying an up and coming brand and they're really trying to build their brand. I found lots of great traction with, you have an independent operator that has maybe 1 or 2 locations with a startup brand that's just really trying to make a name for themselves, as a really nice partnership as everybody's kind of in a build phase. And then I would just say, be great at what you do. So when you have the opportunity to cross merchandise, to ask vendors for items that you don't currently carry, that they see a lot of moving out outside of your store, ask them, what should I be carrying? What do you not see in my case that you see in other cases? What should we be looking at? And then as quickly as you can get ahead of those kinds of partnerships, like if it's a Red Bull or if it's Monster Energy or Mountain Dew or anything like that, where you can get ahead and ask for marketing dollars, go ahead and plan to hit your next window, whatever it is, and make small impacts until you can make a big one. Okay, I have a few different questions here, and I think it makes sense to just stop for a second and ask or answer a few questions and have a little chat. Okay. One question is, and I'll go one more slide. one question is, should operators get stuck on a set margin for food? Industry standard is 70%, but should operators be more focused on what the market will accept? Sometimes it can be more margin and sometimes it can be less. Gross margin dollars collected should decide margin percent, right? Okay. I do think that's true. So when it comes to margin, what I found is that with hot grab and go, you get the highest margin typically. Maybe it's close to 70%. It's probably not going to be 70% in something with a longer shelf life, like a cheese stick or even a grapes and cheese cup or a yogurt, something like that. Usually those are a little bit tighter. Things that are easy to find everywhere have a lower margin typically. Things that are more proprietary, something that you offer specifically that nobody else does, you can usually get a higher margin on it. So I would definitely say not one size fits all when it comes to margin and standards. Was there anything else to add on that, Amy?
I'm here. Nope, you got it. I think you did great.
Oh, okay. There's another question that was just, will the spreadsheets in the presentation deck be available for download? Yes. I'm going to create, well, Amy will send out a link. Amy knows all about that, but I don't. But I can give the spreadsheets to her and she will make sure it's there for you.
Perfect. Did you see we had one more question about healthy options?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, okay, so here's a great question. A lot of professional drivers ask for healthy options. However, healthy is very subjective. What a professional driver might ask for may be different from their actual purchasing behavior. How do healthy options sell in the travel center or C-store space versus non-healthy? If they don't sell as well, what types of healthy kinds of options can we offer? Okay, that's a great question. Going back to my time at KFC, of all places, that's just not a place that you go for when you feel like you need to make a healthy choice. And I remember finding that as many times as we wanted to offer salads and grilled chicken, people aren't coming there for salads and grilled chicken, they're coming for fried chicken. But one thing that you're working toward is that veto vote, just getting people to not have to say, no, we can't possibly go there because it doesn't exist. I do think that when healthy options, say, for example, fruit cups, okay, when those are offered in especially small portions, you see more movement. If they're huge and it's a choice between something that's pretty indulgent and something that's full of health in a huge way, you're not going to move as many probably. But if you make it really convenient and small and offer options like fruit cups, like yogurt cups, I see them move. In fact, one time I was at a Love's and checking out the cold case this was only a couple of months ago, with someone I was working with. We had our brands on. The Love's person was telling us all about it was a district manager. And he was sharing that in the area in the Northeast, they were actually moving a lot of fruit cups, yogurt cups, fresh cut fruit with cheese, things like that. What they had there, they were actually selling quite a lot of, and that's coming from families, coming from truck drivers too. They were trying to recruit us to come over and work for them, which was fun. But that was telling to me that, okay, they're not gonna merchandise if it's not selling at all. But I'd say just start off slow and take advantage of the cross merchandising. So I think I've seen more success, more movement in my experience if you mix in those healthier, better for you products in with the more indulgent products, and you make it not to where you have like a healthy section that's all fruit and salads and wraps, but you mix them in and give somebody the opportunity to make an indulgent and a healthy choice together. So you may get the pudding cup, but you might also get the fruit cup and the sub sandwich. If you put those all together, you kind of help make that option, I think, possible. You don't have to watch another section of the store. I hope that answers your question. Another thing too, I'll just go back to real quick on hot foods. I've seen things like, if we have fried chicken sandwiches and grilled chicken sandwiches, you may not sell a lot of plain grilled chicken sandwiches, but if you put bacon and cheese on that grilled chicken sandwich, that might be just enough of that, healthier choice for your customer that's looking for healthy. They can pull the cheese and bacon off, but let's be honest, nobody's going to do that. We're all going to have the bacon and cheese, but maybe you feel better about it than having like the fried chicken. So I think as long as you're mixing in, indulgent into healthy choices and it doesn't feel like complete sacrifice on flavor and filling your belly, I think that's how you make that compromise possible for your customers who are looking for healthy. I don't know, what do you think? Is that, if you have more questions about that, then let me know. Yeah, and Amy says make sure to drop questions into the Q&A into the chat so I can answer them. That's how I'm finding your questions. So yeah, keep it up. Okay, I've got one more section to cover, and then we'll stop and take more questions. So next, I have a real simple one, updating maps. So Darren Schulte was as kind to share this maps update for something that he's worked on. He's loaded lots of photos into Google Maps. And the number here is not small. Are people looking at Google Maps and pictures to find out if it's a place they want to stop? 32 million views of photos tell me, yes, they are looking to see what does it look like before I get there. They're not looking at it when they're there. They're deciding a couple hundred miles away in a lot of cases. Is this a place I want to stop? So with that information in mind, keeping your store specific information up to date on maps, on any apps, especially truck driver specific apps, on Gas Buddy, Uber Eats, food review sites, TripAdvisor, Waze. If you are the owner of a location, have you Googled yourself? You know what happens on a map? Do you have influence over what photos show up first? You can also influence what the little icon has on it. Sometimes on Waze, you might be driving and you'll notice that it will say BP or Circle K or a brand. You can do that for yourself too. If you are an independent operator and you own the site, you can do that. Some of these apps have a cost associated with those and some don't. But in any case, where you can influence the keywords, make sure your potential customers several hundred miles from where you sit today know what to expect. Is there a clean bathroom? Literally show them the clean bathroom, but no one's in there, of course. But when it's nice and fresh and clean and empty, show what it looks like. Show what your food area looks like, and keep the pictures current. You never want it to look stale, like you did this one day a couple years ago and then you never thought about it again. You want it to look like you're taking care of your property and that you're taking care of your online presence as well. If you're getting questions, comments, I hope you're one of the managers who chimes in and says, thanks for visiting our site. We're glad you had that great experience. We've celebrated the store manager with a pizza party because they did such a great job for you. Maybe that would be amazing to share if you could tell a customer that. Or on the other hand, if it wasn't a good review, that you're actually responding to that as the manager. Then as far as improving food photography, I'll go. There was another question about build to by hourly goals, and I'll get to that. So next, outside of updating maps, food photography. So I've got an example here that's real. It's really out there right now. This is Cliff's Local Market. I mentioned them earlier about the beer cheese. This is on their current site. So they've been updating their food photography with a professional over the last year or two. And you can see on the site today, two subs that sit side by side. You can order them on Vroom. The left one is a buffalo chicken sub. At first glance, looks really good. But then when you really look at it, you know what? The lighting's not great. It does look like it's all one temperature. And it's messy in a way that makes me feel anxious. You know, if I pick this up, I think that might make a mess on my lap when I'm trying to eat it. The one on the right has been recently taken. The photo has. The cheese looks melty. On the other hand, the vegetables, the tomatoes, the lettuce, the red onions, they look cold and crispy, which is nice. And it does look kind of messy. It's not perfect. It's not trying to be perfect. It looks real, and it is real. Every ingredient in there is real. But it's messy in more of an appealing way. It doesn't, to me, look like a total mess. It looks like it's going to maybe hold together. I see that perfect bite on there. Okay, you may not want to or may not have the funds to go and do a professional photography shoot. But what can you do to improve, you know, your online presence and photos in the store? Could you work on a beautiful photo that might be worth the time and money and effort so that you can put a beautiful cling over on your cold grab and go, you know, cold beverage case to tell them about the subs that you're doing, or the pizza that you're doing, or the special product that is only offered by you. So just think of it as an investment, even if it's just for a product or two, to kind of help highlight the fact that you're doing something special there. When it comes to cross merchandising too, I'll just jump over here to this. So I think that some great operators out there that are doing a really nice job, I found in airports of all places. So SIBO Express, if you ever stop by an airport and get the chance to just go in and just take a wander around, notice how they put something chocolate next to something salty, a filling food, chips, a drink, and a water. And you may have only needed a small snack, but I challenge you to go in there and not accidentally spend $20. You have to, because they just make it so obvious that, yeah, you know what, something small and sweet would be really good with my sandwich, and actually I will grab a soft drink too, and a brand new tea I've never seen. I don't know. So they do a really good job of cross merchandising. If you've not discovered the affinity items in your location, you should go ask that question to whoever captures your data for you. If you're not able to go find it, ask for help with that and find what are the top movers, what are the top 10 things I sell. Of those top 10 things, what are the most frequently purchased items with that? So for some reason, CSP published this last year that Maverick's top selling items by state. I thought it was so interesting. It's almost always a breakfast burrito and a Red Bull. Who might have thought that those go together? You may already know that, but to me, that was pretty eye-opening that the highest affinity item to a breakfast burrito is not another breakfast thing. It's not even a coffee. In most cases, it's a Red Bull. How eye-opening is that? Do you think Red Bull wants to help sell more Red Bull out of Maverick? I bet they do, you know, so they would be interested then in helping Maverick sell more burritos. Those two things may not on the surface look like they go together from a category management point of view, but knowing all that you possibly can about your top selling products and what's moving with them can really help you sell more of those products. And then pairing up high margin items, which aren't always your highest volume items, next to your highest volume items. That's one really good practice to help increase the average margin in your ticket average. And then just thinking about day part popularity, you may know what's going on from a seasonal standpoint or even throughout the day, that you sell a lot of candy bars, but do you know when you're selling them? I've recently spoken to a group that found that they were selling quite a lot of snacks that they would consider snacks and lunch sandwiches early in the morning for those customers who are coming through and only have one stop. They need to be ready for lunch too. So isn't it interesting that you might be selling more lunch sandwiches in the morning than at lunch? Is that happening? Just getting as knowledgeable as possible about what's happening and when it's happening is some great advice. Okay, finally on telling your story, but co-branding. So you must know that this is a Doritos Los Tacos, right? Do you know what brand launched that? You definitely know it was Taco Bell. Everybody knows that. So Doritos partnered up with Taco Bell long ago, and we still hear about the Doritos taco. That's a huge Dorito shell that is now a great taco, and it's an iconic product. Again, I get that they are two multinational giant brands that partnered together. But is there something you can do that's like that? You've been carrying Doritos much longer than Taco Bell ever carried Doritos. So how can we bring Doritos over into our food service section? Maybe it's Fritos, maybe it's Grippos, or maybe it's Lay's or something in your area that's totally different. Another best practice, I grabbed this image from Thornton's Instagram feed on the Mountain Dews. So Mountain Dew wanted to partner up with Thornton's, I suppose, for this promotion that they were having. And they had to get in front of that a few months in advance, certainly, to be able to talk about this in a big way. But the planning, I'm sure, paid off. Another one, the yellow mustard and Johnsonville promo in the center is also from Thornton's. I had a great experience working with that company in particular, with Johnsonville as a partner. They were interested in selling anything in the morning that moved roller grill products. If it was coffee, they were helpful on working with us on coffee. If it was anything in the afternoon with roller grill, they were all about it. And clearly Johnsonville covered some of the cost of advertising like this. They've got their logo on it. I bet Heinz was involved in this too, potentially. So this was part of a win-free fuel for a year campaign that partnered up with lots of different brands. But how can you think in a big brand way when it comes to co-branding? The Reese's, Jolly Rancher, and Cinnabon images were all from Sunny Sky. So working with current beverages, if you have a frozen, carbonated, or non-carbonated, you probably have a cappuccino or a hot chocolate, something like that you can use. You can really easily and simply and very operationally easily partner with big brands to help with your product movement. I hear Darren, he says one of our members' top selling items out of their hot box is chili cheese Fritos topped with chili and cheese. That's awesome. So that's like a walking taco with a Fritos co-brand. Yeah. Then another couple of questions. There was one about, do you have any suggestions for creating the build to by hour goals, especially for introducing new products? Yeah, and I'll kind of go here to this final slide. When it comes to building to by hour goals for new products, in the early stages, you have to be comfortable with a higher waste and plan on sampling not products that are expired, but products that are very fresh. So as far as by hour goals for brand new products, be more patient with waste and be less patient with waste as you roll on through. So it depends on what the product is. I like to look and see what is the most like item. So if it's a new flavor of something that you already carry, you can obviously look at sales by hour of similar products and take into account that you're going to have some what we would call cannibalization. So some products if you introduce a brand new product, it's going to take the place of something for a few customers, right? So what are they going to buy a few less of? What are they going to buy here instead? Another great tactic is to add a 2-for-1, or not necessarily to discount the food, but to discount, say, a beverage. So you buy you buy the new product that's food, and then you get a free coffee, or you get cents off a gallon or something like that. That's not discounting the food. So one good practice is to, when you do have your sales by hour goal, is to inform the team what is the goal, help them know how to adjust it. There may not be a one size fits all for multiple locations or by hour, but help them know how many they should sell to make their money back. That's one best practice I forgot to even mention earlier, but I know one group that is selling, when they do a promotion, they let their managers know, say, hey, if you are supposed to have 5 of these out, you have to sell 3 of them to break even. If you sell 4, you're going to make your bonus. If you sell all 5, you're going to definitely hit your bonus and then some. So they really make it very visual and say, you know, sell 2, you're going to break even. And that's not our goal. Our goal is to actually grow the business. So that'd be another way to help just educate your team as you're rolling out new products too. Okay. Another question that was, do you see any trends influencing in our industry, like drivers opting to eat meals in their trucks, ordering Grubhub, etc.? Yeah, actually, NATSO has a great, a really informative driver study. And so much of the time, drivers are saying they don't really want to leave their cab. And I think people got really comfortable during COVID time of kind of keeping to themselves. So I think when you can partner with a third party, I know a lot of people don't like to do that, to have a third party on their lot. But that's, I think, something that we really have to take into consideration now that that's the new life. Another thing that you could look at too, another way to serve drivers who don't really want the interaction, who'd rather eat offsite or in their truck, would be those hot grab and go boxes. So if you don't have a way to order ahead today, to work with an app developer or just a simple website. I order coffee constantly every couple of days from a local coffee shop that does not have an app. It's just online. So there are simple ways of getting the transactions to happen online, so that those orders are paid for before the customer comes in, and then they know it's going to be quick to come in and out. Might just be a speed thing. They might not have to want to wait in line. They're in traffic all day long and they want to get in and out. So we can understand that for sure. Okay. For most travel centers, what meal period is generally the busiest? It seems like Maverick, it was breakfast. Generally, I'm seeing breakfast still as the top day part. When it comes to food and beverage sales, it's usually breakfast and then lunch. C-stores, I think, are still not back to where they were pre-pandemic with breakfast sales and coffee and morning traffic, but I don't think that's necessarily the case with truck stops. It seems like it's come back. Okay. Another question is, I've read a few studies about the way food is merchandised and how it impacts sales. Have I seen decor or innovative merchandising methods that impact sales? If so, in what ways? So I was just mentioning that airport kiosk called SIBO, and then others where you merchandise things that don't necessarily have to be refrigerated in the refrigerated case. So you don't have to refrigerate bottled water. You don't have to refrigerate candy bars, but cross-merchandising them with sandwiches, wraps, cold snacks. I've seen that go a long way. Also, I was talking about affinity items and knowing when products are selling throughout the day, using door clings, shelf tags to call out things that belong together, or like a special, as far as a combo, a special deal on a bag of chips. You don't really need to put that where the chips are. You need to tell people about that where they're getting their lunch or where they're getting their bottled beverages or fountain. So cross-merchandising between lunch products and bottled beverages, especially, I see a lot of good things there. I see a lot of good cross-merchandising with coffee and bakery. If you have donuts for sale, and whether they're direct store delivery or you're doing them yourself, or they're if they're prepackaged even, if your bakery section is far away from your coffee section, I would do anything I could to get my bakery section close to coffee. So the cross merchandising and the affinity, that happens there is usually really strong. Do we have all the questions answered? I think. I'll put my contact information over here to kind of wrap up. But I really appreciate your time. I know it's a lot of time out of your day. I hope that it was worthwhile. If you have any specific questions that I can help you with, I love to connect people, good people to good people. I'll be at the NATSO Connect event here in a few months, and I'm working with some of you. If I haven't met you yet, please come and find me at one of those events or reach out between now and then. I'll be happy to answer any questions and to talk to you.
Absolutely. We had so many good questions. That's always my favorite. Like we said at the beginning, we'll send them the recording and the handouts, and we've mentioned the study, and we had Jessica on the podcast, so we can certainly send those things out as well. And hopefully people will reach out to you, and hopefully they'll see you in February at the NATSO Connect.
Yeah, thank you again for the chance to talk here, and thanks to all the members for being here today. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.